Hi Class 3 and Class 4. I've just been sorting out a new Connect Curriculum project for you guys for the rest of term. So I'm just doing a little video because there's some examples of things that I wanted to go through and just sort of explain to you, just to help give you some ideas for this project. Okay, so this is what your Connect Curriculum menu will look like. The PDF is on the school website for you, and all I'm going to do in this video is just break down a couple of those bits for you, and then, like I said, go through some examples just to give you some inspiration, hopefully. So firstly, we just need to say a huge thank you to everyone who has really had a go. It's been so amazing seeing some of the fantastic things that you've been doing, and people really trying their best just to do something a bit different. I've seen rap videos about power stations. I've seen mini sculptures of Wonders of Brereton. It's been lovely. So thank you so much to everyone who's just had a go at it, and really taken the opportunity to deepen their understanding about the local area that they live in, and it has just been some incredible learning. So I'm so proud of you all. I hope you guys are proud of yourselves too. You really should be, and most importantly, I hope you've had fun doing it, just having a go at it. So thank you so much. But now, as we start to return to school, we've designed a project for you to enjoy just over the rest of the summer term. So whether you're in school or at home, this is something that you can do either way. So I know some of you will be in school with me and Miss Foster, and some of you are staying at home. That's absolutely fine. But this is for you to do bits and bobs of and over the rest of the summer term. Okay, so you just do little bits and bobs throughout the rest of the time. So during the topics so far for our Wonders of the World, you have explored geography, art and a bit of music. And you've learnt about the wonders of the world and explored your local area to find your own wonder of Brereton or Rugeley. So your summer term challenge then is to use that knowledge so far, and however we would love for you to design your own wonder of Redbrook Hayes. Now obviously we've been going through a really tough time over the last few months, and I think if anything, it has just shown and demonstrated what an incredible community we are. That's Redbrook Hayes Primary School, but also you guys at home, and just being amazing. I think it has really shown just how incredible we are and how well we can all work together to support one another, and to lift each other up when it's been really difficult and tough for everybody. So we would love for you to design your own wonder of Redbrook Hayes. Now this can be something, it can be a sculpture, a statue, just something, it can be as big as you want because you're designing it. Something that represents perhaps what you love about Redbrook Hayes, or what Redbrook Hayes means to you, or perhaps the values that you feel Redbrook Hayes demonstrates, especially during this time. This could be, in fact, a statue or a sculpture or some sort of creation that you think perhaps represents this tough time, this lockdown that we've gone through, and all the things perhaps it's made you think about. Now, obviously, we can't make something absolutely humongous, perhaps, but what we'd like you to do is to design your wonder. So first you need to, I'm going to go through some examples for you to give you a bit of inspiration, but I'll explain this bit first. You'll need to design your wonder, and when I say design, that means you need to draw it, you need to label it, and you might have more than one design. The way designers work is that they do lots of different designs, and perhaps when you do one you might want to change something, so you do another. So please don't worry if you don't like it or you want to change it or you start again. That's absolutely fine. That's how designers work. But you want to think about what sort of size you want it to be. So think about how big a metre is, how many metres tall do you want it to be and wide, what's it going to be made out of, and where would it go at Redbrook Hayes? You know, do you want everyone to see it as they go past, or just children in school? And then once you've designed it and you've got something that you're really happy with, you then need to create a prototype. Now what a prototype is, it's just a mini version, or sort of like a rough version of what it would actually look like. Now, normally when you do a prototype, you do it to the size that you'd want it. However, we're just going to do a mini version. So if you were thinking of creating a statue or a huge sculpture, even if it was going to be 20 foot tall on the plaza, you need to make a mini version, and by either creating a mini sculpture or a mini model using any material. So it might be that you want to, I think in our last CC menu, I put in a link for you to make homemade like clay or like a dough at home that dries hard. So it might be that if you wanted it to be a sculpture, you could make a mini one using that. Perhaps you could use some recyclable material, so cardboard boxes and bits of plastic and things, and then paper mache it or paint it to show what it would look like, but in a mini version. What we could do then is take pictures of it and almost blow it up on the computer and place it where you would like it at school. If you do want to do that, you can send pictures to me, and I'm more than happy to do that for you, to show you what it would look like if it was giant. And if you tell me where you would like it at school, I can definitely do that on my computer. But then also what you need to think about is what this is probably the most important thing, and maybe actually I've done this wrong, maybe this should go first, but what does your wonder represent? So think about all the different wonders that you've researched, and think about how they all had a purpose or a reason for being created. Some of them were religious, and some of them were memorials. Some of them were cultural. They all represented something different. So think about what your wonder of Redbrook Haze is going to represent. What do you want it to show? What do you want people to feel when they see it? What do you want them to think about or remember when they see it? So could you, sorry guys, Jax is playing with a squeaky toy again. Write a piece perhaps that would accompany your wonder. So if it was unveiled, you'd perhaps have somebody there like Mr. Gaffney maybe, reading what the sort of piece that you'd want to go with that sculpture, sort of explaining it to people looking at it. Or maybe you'd have it engraved in a small plaque going next to your sculpture. You could also do this in a video if you like. I've had some fantastic video explanations and reports and presentations on wonders so far, which have been really lovely to watch. So that is your challenge for this term. It's quite a big one, and it could be something really, really magical. I would love to see all of these, and perhaps we could do a vote on which one we would love to have. And I'm sure Mr. Gaffney would love to see these as well. What I'm going to show you now is some examples of just some in our local area. Now, you guys have been thinking about local wonders of Brereton and Rugeley, so I've done a little bit of research as well, and there's some things that I wanted to show you. And when I thought about some sort of sculpture to remember things and to represent things, these are the things that kind of came to my mind when I was doing a bit of research. So now some of these you might have seen, some of them you might have not. So this one is it's a statue called Jigger, and he is based in in Brown Hills. Now you may have seen him, you may not, but he is huge. He is so big, and he's in the middle of a roundabout in Brown Hills West. So there's a little bit of an explanation here that I'm going to read to you, and yeah, so just enjoy it and have a little look. So in the middle of town, there's a stainless steel statue, so that he's made out of stainless steel, and if you can see, it's almost like little pieces of it put together. To commemorate, so to remember the coal industry, a shiny colossus in the centre, oh gosh, I don't know if I said that right, in the centre of a roundabout. Now the statue is called Jigger after Jack Jigger Taylor, and he was killed in a mining disaster in 1951. He was from a multi-generational mining family and was working in the pit at Walsall Wood when the roof suddenly collapsed. His nickname, which was Jigger, was submitted to a competition to christen the sculpture by Taylor's own great-grandson. Okay, so the gentleman that died in the mining accident, his great-grandson had, when this was made, suggested naming the sculpture after his great-granddad who died whilst mining. So the census data shows that up to 80% of the Brown Hills population worked in the mining industry at its peak. So that was in the 19th century, and that included children as young as 11. But by the 1950s, the 300-year mining history of the Black Country was gasping for air. It wasn't long before all the pits would close, exhausted by the relentless pace of extraction. So Jigger came to Brown Hills 50 years after the decline of the mines, intended as both a celebration of the industry that built the town and to serve as a reminder of the toll it often took on its workers on Brown Hills and the Black Country communities. So what that's saying there is that this statue is there to celebrate the mining industry, which isn't anymore, because that mining industry is what helped build the town, build Brown Hills. But it is also to serve as a reminder of all the hard work that people in that community did over hundreds of years. So this piece was created in 2006 by the artist John McKenna, a member of the Royal British Society of Sculptors. And at 40 odd feet tall, oh my goodness, its size has drawn some comparisons to the better known Angel of the North in Gateshead, England. So you've probably seen Angel of the North. You'd have found it during your Wonders of the World as well. That I think at one point was or is. So it's been compared to that, although the Angel of the North is probably a lot better known than Jigger here. Okay, so that's one example there. So this town wanted something to be created to remember the history of that town, just as a sort of a symbol to recognise all the hard work and all the labour that people did over the 300 years of mining, which is now finished. You will have definitely seen this. So this is very similar to that. In Rouge, on the Globe Island, we have the different statues of the miners. So again, I've got some information here for those that don't know it, although I'm sure lots of you recognise and know bits and bobs about it, especially if you've talked about it with your family. So we've got the 9-foot statues, and they cost £55,000, and they are work of a Birmingham artist called Andy de Comyn. He was commissioned, so he was asked to and paid in March 2014 to create a public sculpture to commemorate the 115 miners who were sadly killed underground while working at Lee Hall and Brereton collieries. Again, I'm not sure I'm saying that right. The sculptures are of miners throughout the ages and are made from concrete resin and weigh between 1,500 and 2,000 kilograms. Mr. de Comyn, said it was an honour and a privilege to sculpt the statues, which he worked on for around 18 months. That's over a year. The portfolio leader for the town said, "I can't believe what Andy has achieved in the last few months. His progress is remarkable and he's a very talented man. It's amazing to see these sculptures in place on the Globe Island, a fitting tribute to the mining history of the town and a great achievement thanks to the dedication of the members of the Lee Hall and Brereton Collieries Memorial Society." And Alexander Smith, he said, "The Society is delighted after 4 years' hard work that the 2 local collieries will now be remembered and the lives of the miners lost commemorated in a lasting tribute to the contribution miners made to the local community and the country at large." So again, these statues linking, because areas around Cannock, it was a huge mining community. So these statues, again, they're there to, these ones are more of a memorial to remember the 115 miners who were killed whilst working in the mines. So again, that's about remembering those people, but also remembering that history of that society and that community working in the mines. Okay, so I'm not asking you to create a sculpture to necessarily just about something terrible or something bad that's happened, because that's not what these are about. These are also a recognition to the people that have worked really hard. Now here, this is one you may have seen it, you may not, but this is something that's different. So it's not a sculpture of a person. So this is what I really, really love this. This is actually just outside the Tesco car park in Lichfield, if you've ever seen it. You tend to eyeball, what I tend to do is park over here and then walk through this bit to get into town if I'm doing a bit of shopping. And this was created a few years ago now as a tribute to the work of Dr. Samuel Johnson. So this piece is actually called The Formation of Poetry, and it's got pages of a book, and because Dr. Johnson, he created the dictionary. So what it has here is that you can see the book there, and these are all pages, and it's created to look like the pages sort of blowing out of the book. Can you see how they've bent it and things? And it looks like it's really effortless and delicate, and that it would fall over, but it's not. I think it's made out of bronze. I think it says in there. I've just seen it somewhere. Oh yeah, but it's made out of bronze, you know, so it's very tough, and obviously it doesn't fall, but it looks like it's sort of being blown away really delicately. And each of those pages have a really poignant word on there with its definition. And each of those words that have been chosen, I'm not 100% sure which words are on there, but they all have like a meaning and something relevant to the artwork. But it all demonstrates that sort of creativity, not just Dr. Johnson, but also Lichfield. So the engineering and the unique design of the bronze, bronze sculpture allows the artwork to appear fragile and gentle, as if the pages bend and fold in a breeze, and yet it stands firm and solid to last the test of time, just as words might in a piece of poetry. So, sculpted by Peter Walker, this piece shows that sculpture can be created in many ways to depict a person's life and work, not just through realistic representation of a person as a portraiture. So that means you don't necessarily just have to have a sculpture of a person to represent what they did or what they could do, but also through the means of abstract form and shape that capture the feel and the thought of a historic figure. Now, the examples I've given you, yes, some of them represent a person, but the Brownhill statue, although that's nicknamed after a person, that isn't just representing commemorating one person, it's thinking about the entire community. Okay, so when you think about your sculpture and or your model or the wonder that you're going to design, I don't want you to necessarily think about just one person. I don't want you to just create a sculpture of Mr. Gaffney to go on the plaza at school. I want you to really think carefully about Redbrook Hayes as a whole and what you think Redbrook Hayes represents. And if you could create a sculpture that really embodies that and represents everything that Redbrook is, then that would be amazing. You can take inspiration from this, think about our school logo, and just think about what Redbrook Hayes means to you. Okay? So have fun with this. You can do your own research. These are just a few ideas that I pulled from local areas, but please do just have fun with it. And I've broken down those being the 3 main things to do in terms of this. But yes, enjoy it. Use the different research that you did for the rest of the Wonders of the World as well. And yeah, I cannot wait to see what incredible things you guys come up with. Okay, so enjoy this, guys. This is for the rest of the summer term, so I'm not expecting this to be done in a day or certainly not in a week. You know, take your time, do bits and bobs and gather some ideas. Okay, enjoy, guys.